I'm physically and emotionally exhausted. So hopefully what I'm going to say in this video is going to make plenty of sense. Anyway, let's roll on. Hello my friends, and welcome to Youth Potential, a channel dedicated to helping young people with mental health problems. I have 2 books available, 102 Distraction Techniques and Self-Harm to Self-Harmony. Both of these books are only available on Amazon. Thank you very much for watching this video. Hello my friend, Scott here representing Youth Potential. Thank you very much for voting on this video. We've got over half the votes for this particular one. So yeah, thanks very much guys for voting on that, much appreciated. So guilt and shame when it comes to mental health and self-harm. Everyone I've spoken to across the world, or in person, when I say across the world I mean through social media and stuff like that, everyone that I've spoken to that has experienced mental illness or has self-harmed have said that they basically have felt guilt and or shame because of it. And I'm no exception to this either. But I'm confident that most people, if not all people that have experienced mental illness, have felt the same one time or another. Yeah, perhaps there's some people that don't feel any guilt or shame over it. Maybe that's something that they've developed and worked on over a period of time, or maybe it's just the kind of person that they are. So there's no way I can say everyone on the planet that's experienced mental illness is going to feel guilt and shame. But everyone that I've spoken to has. It's something that affects so many of us, and we carry it around a lot. We carry the guilt, and we feel ashamed of ourselves for whatever reason. I'm going to kind of go into why I feel guilt and shame in a moment. It's really easy to analyse yourself, think about things that have happened in the past, and blame yourself. It's easy to think, oh, my mental health has caused upset amongst my friends and family, or at school or at work. It's easy to look at the self-harm and feeling ashamed of what you've done to yourself, feeling guilty for how it's made others feel. I mean, they're just some common examples. Before I go into my personal reasons, anything that you want to share regarding to guilt and shame, please leave your comments below. I appreciate it, guys. Sorry that I don't sound as enthusiastic as I normally do. As I say, I'm so drained. I'm so exhausted. But let me share with you some things, from my personal experience, things that make me feel, or have, should I say, made me feel guilty or ashamed of myself. I think the one that heads the list would be how it's affected my friends and family. So what I mean by that is how I've made them feel, basically, because of my actions towards others or towards myself. Putting myself in hospital numerous times. I feel really bad for kind of putting my family through that multiple times. Yeah, it's just that, that really hurts here. I've said some things in the past, not just to friends and family, but to strangers, that I am ashamed of. I've said some really sort of judgmental and ignorant things. But to be honest, I think that's more something that was in my teenage years. I think as I've got older and a little bit wiser and understood, individuals much better, obviously that's something that I don't really do I'd like to think I don't these days. I feel guilty because I've hurt people in the past. I have. I've broken hearts. I've, said things that I can't take back. I've done things that I can't take back. And yeah, and they're all things that are related to, being depressed or being anxious or self-harming, or, having mood swings, psychotic episodes, etc., etc. Yeah, and that kind of makes me feel guilty, like I put a burden on people, especially when I open up. And I know people have said this to me before, for youth potential, but it's so easy to feel like a burden when opening up to people, or telling people about your condition or conditions. Maybe in the past you've opened up to someone and they've not liked it, they've been too afraid to engage with you, and they've just kind of left you, or they've told you that you're being silly or immature or whatever, and you feel like you're a burden to other people, and it makes opening up in the future even more difficult, because you don't want to put that on people. You just think, oh, I'll just hide it, get on and just try and be as positive as I can, but it's not always as simple as that. Although it's not, I don't know how much of it was, but I don't think that prior to my relapse, I believed my mental health was quite in a good place. But then after my previous relationship ended, the mother of my kids, I felt ashamed of, of things I'd done to bring us to a point where we did split up, and I feel extremely guilty for how I've made, guilty that my children no longer live with their real biological mother and father. But before I get too deep into that one, I just want to say, like, my children are very happy, and the way things have worked out, it's all been amicable. It's all been really, really positive. But it's just really hard for me to not feel guilty about my mental health and the self-harm and all of that, my kids don't really see they don't see any of that. So when I'm not there, when I'm supposed to be, because of my mental health conditions, I feel disgusting in myself. To be honest, that was quite hard for me to string some words together. I had a very similar talk in my group therapy session yesterday, and yesterday I was really struggling to string sentences together, but even put words together to talk about my feelings in regard to that. Yeah. And of course, it really, really, really makes me feel guilty when people tell me about how they feel in regards to my behaviours. Like there's no way that I can blame anyone for feeling upset because I've put myself in hospital or whatever. I expect people to tell me their feelings. I have to accept some responsibility. But obviously it hurts. It hurts, doesn't it? When even if it's something that you've done out of an episode of some kind, and someone tells you, that really hurt me, that really upset me. Of course, it's going to make you feel guilty. Guilt and shame are perfectly normal responses to to these kinds of things, when we analyse ourselves, it's a human response to feel guilty or ashamed of things that we've done that we're not happy with. However, I ask you, I beg of you, not to dwell in guilt and shame when it comes to mental illness and self-harm. Okay, I know that's easier said than done. Okay, I have to keep reminding myself, and I have to get other people to keep reassuring me of things. And the reason I say this is because actually in most cases of a psychotic episode, mental health breakdown or whatever, in most cases, that's actually a result of an environmental influence. It's meaning basically anything or anyone outside of yourself. Yeah? And basically what I'm trying to tell you is it's not your fault. Okay? There's probably some stupid things that you've done that you shouldn't have done, that you probably could have controlled. Okay? But as I say, in most cases, mental illness is the result of things that are completely out of your control. Okay? And they're the things that you shouldn't feel guilty over or ashamed of. Yeah? It's out of your control. And I highly, highly doubt that the root of your problems are the result of something that you have done. Okay? Just please think about that. I mean, I can easily sit here and say the root of my problems, or the start of my problems, were caused when my parents got divorced when I was quite young. That was out of my control. Okay? So please have a good think about that. And finally, I'm going to say one other thing, and this is the kind of thing that I try to think about as much as possible when I feel guilt or shame. I think there has to be a balance between knowing what is out of your control and learning from the mistakes you make that are in your control. Okay? I really hope that makes sense, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. I know it's a little long, but I feel like the only way I could get my point across is to, just talking the way that I have been. Right, peace, take care.